The user known as the Punisher was running rampant all over srk.com. He was starting fights with people, talking shit, doing the usual DSP nonsense, just in written form at the time. But this all led him to get enough hate that he showed up with his own website, tophaters.com.
The truth, like I always do. Twitch TV looks for streamers who are going to constantly be begging for money. Okay, I need subs, send me donations and subs.
June 6, 2003. Welcome to tophaters.com. This is what you're greeted with as soon as you load up the page. Yeah, images would have been up there, but still, it's an eyesore. But it's Phil's baby and Phil's own domain in his own kingdom of hate. And we'll get into it. Let's start with the disclaimer, since that's where we're told to begin.
Disclaimer. You're going to find opinions here that go against the norm. You're going to find out things that people don't want you to know. We do not claim that we will be correct all the time. Just most of the time. If your name, internet nickname, or other likeness is used on the site, we apologize. This site freely exercises the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America. We do not intend to intentionally insult everyone. We just state the facts. Do not try to sue us, because it won't work. You are hereby warned that you might be offended by what you see. If you are, you choose to continue on the site after reading this disclaimer of your own free will. If you have a problem, send it to hate email address. We did start the hate, but we've damn well had enough, and it's time to hate back. And if you don't like it, you can suck it. P.S. I don't give a fuck what the site looks like, so don't complain that it looks like shit. I know it does, but...
Well, I have some criticism for the layout of his website. Maybe we'll go send him an email, and, well, it leads to here. His, hate mail. Yeah, that's right, he made his own little address on Hotmail, of course, because it's DSP, and then he mentions that he might post it up if, you know, he liked reading it enough to even reply. We'll head back to the main page to see what else we can get into, but I also wanted to scroll down a bit and show you what this looks like. I mean, Phil had different news, shit-talking, and just laughing at people on his own page. Oh, don't forget about the shit talk towards Evo and their tournament runnings at the very bottom of that page, and we'll get into this later. We'll take a look over at the new hate tab, and well, you get a couple of articles written by Phil, and we're going to take a look at the very first one. Why we hate.
Why do we hate? Because we have been hated on. We've had enough, and we don't give a fuck anymore. There are some times that shit-talking, hate, and mean jokes are acceptable between friends or acquaintances who you know will not be insulted. Or when you say it as a joke, immediately afterwards, and you apologize if the party is offended. There are times when criticism is acceptable, when it is constructive, and when it's justified. Unfortunately, I have experienced those kinds of hate that do not fit into these two categories. More than enough, and I've had enough of it. It all comes down to the fact that the Street Fighter community is changing. It used to be smaller groups of younger people who got together and respected each other, played games, and had a good time in general. Yes, there was shit talking, but it was amongst friends, and it was all good. But now, with the dawn of the internet and the evolution of the SF community into something more than just a very small niche subculture of gamers, things have changed drastically. Shoryuken.com hosts forums that have thousands of users. Xbox Live allows you to play people all over the world without ever seeing their face. Arcades are closing down all over the nation, cutting off the in-person competitive atmosphere that Street Fighter has always had. And it seems that along with that change, there is a change in attitude, and I'm not liking one bit. I could sit here all day and list times that I've been hated on. I could go into 10-page defense of my situation in the Shady K incident that happened over summer 2002, but I won't. I can describe how, in the times I've selflessly endeavored to make a video, organize tournaments, and aid the SF community in many ways, I have met nothing but hate and opposition. I can sit here and list the times that the entire East Coast has been hated on IRC, in the forums, and at national tournaments. And then I could go into a lengthy justification of why I'm justified in making this site. It's seemingly hating on so many, but I'm not going to do that because those things are the past and need to be let go. It will take me forever. You would fall asleep reading, and that would be shitty. What I'm going to do is make a short but sweet list of things that are absolutely unacceptable in the Street Fighter community, or in the world today in general, for that matter. Number 1. Gratefulness. Under no circumstances should you ever criticize something that someone is volunteering for or giving to you for free unless it affects you in a monetarily or personal safety type of way, or fairness is ultimately jeopardized. You should not be whining and complaining about tournament videos, trailers, pictures, internet website bulletin board services, Apex, or anything else you get for free on the internet. You are not paying for these services. Someone is working their ass off to give you these things, and unless you have constructive criticism, which could help someone improve the quality of their work in the future, then don't say anything at all. Example: don't say, that video sucked donkey nuts. Go dig yourself a ditch and die, noob. If you have something to contribute, legitimately suggest something for the video and leave it at that. Tearing someone's work apart with no justification just pisses them the fuck off, and you've wasted your valuable time making the comment in the first place. If you are at a video game tournament, do not harass tournament staff with innate and idiotic questions. Do not complain about unforeseen circumstances and things out of their control. For example, at Evolution, a lot of people bitched about MVC2 finals being sudden death, and the tournament being cut short and rushed. There were a lot of factors that made the tournament this way. Expensive video and DJ equipment getting stolen the night before, links between Japanese and American cabinets shorting out, etc. You have to understand that every tournament is a learning experience for everyone, and no tournament is going to be perfect. There should be no hate involved whatsoever, just constructive criticism. However, there is nothing wrong with complaining/hating if you believe that there are unfair practices going on at a tournament that are deliberate. For example, the scandals at ECC5 and Evolution, when a certain percentage of the money was withheld from tournament winners without their previous notification. Complaints and hate were well warranted. But if the situation is resolved in a fair manner, as it was at ECC, when the tourney winners eventually did end up getting the money initially promised, there's no reason to continue the hate. To do so would be unwarranted and just plain stuck up. There was no reason for the West Coast to boycott ECC 6 because of the few players who badmouthed ECC even after they received their money. The boycott was nevertheless put into place. Number 2. Courtesy, manners, honor. Under no circumstances should you take it upon yourself to randomly hate up people over the internet. IRC, chat client, SRK forums, or any other form of non-personal communication. Chances are, if you engage in this kind of shit-talking and hate on a regular basis, you are a bitch who hides behind their computer because you are too scared to say anything in real life. It is not hard to see how, when a disagreement arises on SRK board, legions of toadies, so to speak, appear out of nowhere and begin to take sides. In most cases, these people have nothing to contribute besides their defamatory, idiotic comments that only further inflame the disagreement between the two initial parties. Save the drama for your mama and shut the fuck up if you're not involved. Do not act as if you're better than anyone else. Do not talk shit behind someone's back, ever, especially if you do not know that person very well, or at all in real life. Most of the time, people do this to make a name for themselves, to look cool to their peers. You can say it's only the internet all day long, but that doesn't mean a goddamn thing. It's still hurtful. It is still wrong, and you still should do it. If you wouldn't do something or say something to someone's face, then don't bother to do it over the internet. Because it's not just a game. If you do engage in such activities, be prepared to be met with an excessive backlash of hate, including the possibility of getting your ass beat over it in real life at some future date. You are asking for it by engaging in such activity. On the flip side, if you are a victim of random hate, it is acceptable to defend yourself to a point, but do not take it too seriously. Chances are, if someone is making your life a living hell on the internet, it's because they themselves are losers who feel inadequate with themselves and their own lives. They need to raise themselves up by bringing others down, and this backstabbing technique is perfect way to do it. They don't think that they'll ever have to deal with you in real life, and that they can get away with anything over the internet. Attempting to hate back, excessively defend yourself, or appeal to others for help will only prolong the battle. In most cases, it is the best course of action to drop it altogether. If the hater thinks you are ignoring them, they will have lost that valuable attention they were seeking, and probably will drop the whole thing in the end. One more last point to add. Do not, under any circumstances, go into somebody else's home turf and attempt to confront them about anything unless you have lots of back. Fact of the matter is, 9 times out of 10, they will bitch out and bring friends to do their dirty work for them. So learn from my experience and travel with a reliable posse when taking care of business. Enough said. If you, under any circumstances, commit any of the idiotic actions listed above, you are fair game to be hated on. So get ready, motherfuckers, because TopHaters.com is now in full effect. Eventually, the website updated to include forms and its very own webcomic called Broken Joystick, allegedly by Phil, for TopHaters.com. There are 2 known ones right now that I'll show you, and there's a 3rd one out there that just is a broken image link. Otherwise, Top Haters was just a website for FGC castaways to come and talk and hang out with the Pig Roach before he was the Pig Roach. You were recruited into the hate army, so to say. I mean, it actually said this on his website. And eventually Phil had to say goodbye in 2004. And he just kind of left this thing to die, much like his tumbleweed forms of today. He went down to chase dreams and get himself into EVO 2005.